Hey, hey.
Hey there, GMSONIC. How you doing, Drek?
Doing good today. I guess I'm doing good. Had a nice meltdown overnight, but seems like not me personally, a market meltdown.
Yeah, you kept
So yeah, so just watching the charts, checking the positions, breaking stuff.
BTC definitely puked all over the place, dude. It was totally harsh in the vibes last night, It
Yeah,
seems like it's kind of hard to start building some momentum if Bitcoin's just going to take a dump every 30 minutes,
yeah. It's hard to. I don't know. It's obviously I've seen like some really good posts, where it's just like there was this one post where he listed out like 20 things that would normally be good, and it's just like after every line, it's like dump, dump, dump.
Yeah.
It's like I don't
Government closes, dump. Government opens, dump.
know. Yeah. It was like BlackRock buying, dump, BlackRock selling, dump. Like then
It's all the OGs, dude. All of our feckless OGs are betraying us, dude, now that they've made their bag.
yeah, we talked about this last show that there's kind of like there is like this tension in the air where we still have like some of these macro things looming that are not great at the moment, and it's like I think there's people, if you're following the playbook from the halving cycles, then yeah, there's a lot of people kind of like checking out right now, being like, okay, I bought Bitcoin at 30, 40, 50K, maybe held on to see if it went higher than 120. All right, we're going back towards 100. I'm taking profits. And I think we're seeing a lot of that right now. There was some panic this morning that, as people just tend to make things up or whatever, there was panic that Saylor of all people was selling. Turned out that it was a wallet transfer and that they actually bought more. So no, there was not like some, extinction level event on the way with, Saylor's, what is it, 6% or something, 6 or 7% of Bitcoin he owns at this point.
It's just going to keep climbing at this rate, dude. It's just going to keep climbing. Man, I think there's something else to this, which is that, and this is a little bit more abstract, but I want to know if everyone else feels this too. Because I've been seeing some posts mention something along this line from respected traders like TXMC Trades. I don't know if you guys follow him, but whether you disagree with him or not, he's a pro trader. He does good advice sometimes, but he posted something, and I've been seeing it around a lot lately. Where there's this kind of feeling in general, not just in the markets, but you could see it expressed in the markets quite strongly of everyone waiting for the other shoe to drop, right? Doesn't it kind of feel like everyone feels like something really, really, really bad is going to happen, like a huge sense of impending doom? And I think that might be driving a lot of people's behaviors. A lot of people feel like the show is going to stop. So a lot of people, particularly Bitcoin whales, you might want to just cash out, flight to safety, right? I'll buy a house because then I will weather the storm.
Yeah, this is a good comment. Zorg's talking about Saylor's slop AI tweet did not help. Yeah, and if you didn't see that, it was like him on a boat burning in the background and he's in the ocean floating on something. And I kind of get what he was trying to say, but it also was kind of like, because I think the tagline was just hodl, but yeah, it didn't help. I don't think he thought that one totally. He probably okay, like I'm still floating. Oh yeah, you have it down there. Wow. Yeah.
Saylor will survive. We're all going to go down, but Saylor will survive.
Yeah, I'm not worried about that. I think he's, no matter what, he's all right. Yeah, Yankee says, I feel like a full-on economic collapse is coming. Yeah, so like what's going on now is, we've made it through the shutdown. We got the reopening. Essentially, the latest thing to worry about is we've already had, so much volatility and gotten wrecked so many times on, tariff announcements. Then they make a deal. Then there's a new tariff announcement. And, depending on how important the country is, it makes a difference on how bad we get wrecked. And I feel like what I'm seeing now is a lot around the narrative of it is looking, I can't even say it's looking likely because literally any news source you see says, oh, the prediction markets are saying this, which I get that there is a factor to that in certain things, right? But it seems like the consensus is leaning towards there will be like, the tariffs reversed, and what could actually be worse would be they reverse the tariffs and then they have to actually pay back all the money that has been made from tariffs so far, which is, billions of dollars. So a very good chance to get the rare double pegging, because we got screwed when they started doing it, and now we're going to get screwed because they said they're not doing it anymore.
If they have to pay back the tariffs, wouldn't that just be like a form of like tax reimbursement to all the citizens? Then we're just putting a bunch of money back in their hands. I'm telling you, it could be, dude, it could be the greatest windfall in America. Look, everyone is very negative right now, but I'm kind of starting to think crowds are generally wrong, right? But I understand why they feel this way, because one, the media environment, we've all been hearing about this for decades now. It's excessively negative in general.
Yeah.
But right now, we're also going through a period of a lot of uncertainty. And now, like I like to say, uncertainty, instability is like kryptonite for markets. It's kryptonite for everybody. It stresses everyone out. People like stability. And the one word that I would say that best describes the last like 18 months or so has been like chaotic instability, like rapid like shifts all the time, like huge rate jumps, rate cuts. We got tariffs on, off, flipping the switch. We're doing all kinds of crazy policies. So I think the reason why everyone's feeling anxious is just because there's so much up in the air. So there, to some extent, we do need to worry, like, where is it all going to land? But I'm still actually super bullish long term. There might be some pain short term, but I honestly really do think, dude, it's gonna be like them Goku weights coming off, bro. Once we get really back.
Yeah, the Goku weights. Yeah, I mean, I'm still of the same idea that I think that a lot of these other things to really like have the effect that they're meant to have on the market, I think, it's safe to say we're probably looking at more like early 2026 for a lot of these things to play out. The question is more like, how much do they continue to tinker with everything else while we wait for that stuff to have a positive effect? So yeah, I mean, like they're still not in full blown QE. We still haven't seen like the full effect from rate cuts. There's supposed to be more rate cuts next month, but yeah, I mean, this stuff takes time, to get like the positive effects. So yeah, I mean, in the meantime, I think it would probably be pretty disastrous if they say the tariffs are no more, and you already have to hand back the positive like gains or whatever you've gotten. Now you're paying it back. So yeah,
dude, Souvlaki brings a good point. When I first got into crypto, I never imagined how much it would teach me about the U.S. political landscape. It is kind of nightmarish, isn't it?
You hear this a lot, actually. I talk to people about this often, how they're like, yeah, like never didn't know anything about like US politics, and now it's like part of my, it's part of my world now or whatever, because so much of like the money policy or whatever else is happening, the stock market, it has an effect. Control says the 500-year mortgages are coming. I know, I can't wait. Yeah, we're going to have the 50-year mortgages and the 15-year car loans.
Yeah. Look, we're becoming to Souvlaki's point, it would teach him so much of the U.S. political landscape. Well, what's interesting is the U.S. political landscape is becoming more Chinese, dude, more Chinesified. 50-year mortgages is almost exactly like what they do in China. I think they have 99-year mortgages. Look, what we're seeing is a fusion of the two great powers, dude. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty stressful in terms of, I don't know, I guess I don't even know if I can get into it right now, honestly, because it'll take too long, and we have a guest waiting.
Oh yeah, we got plenty of stuff to cover. We got to bring him up. We got to bring up our guest, dude, because we got a builder, dude, a builder on the Sonic network.
We got one on the hook here. We got a real one.
We captured a real snake, if you will.
Hey, Gum, what's going on?
Hey guys, how's it going?
Pretty good, Gum. Is it Gum 13 or should I pronounce it Gummy?
You can use either or, actually. Most people say Gum 13 or just Gum.
Oh yeah.
But I do agree with you guys just in the whole market sentiment stuff. Like, usually this stuff is just sort of short term, whether it even be a few weeks or even a few months. And then usually the upside is just even greater. I speculated on this back in the summer that Bitcoin would kind of behave like this. And then I just think it'll just go back up. It's kind of what happened last time. And history tends to repeat itself. And going on about that, that's honestly one of the reasons why we're still building onto Sonic. But I think first things first is I'll give an introduction to our protocol for those who actually aren't aware of it. Yeah, so for Snake Finance, we've actually combined two protocols. And obviously not to give anyone PTSD, we combined Tomb Finance and Convex as well. Of course, everyone's familiar with Tomb Finance. It was one of the largest protocols on Phantom. It was at 1 billion TVL when Phantom was at 10 billion. It had 350 mil liquidity on the quote-unquote PEG token, but effectively, Tomb was just a Ponzi. Unfortunately, they failed to kind of fragment away from that. They obviously had the opportunity to, but whoever was running it was just obsessed with running it as a Ponzi and not having real backing to it. So effectively, there was nothing actually backing the token. So about 300 mil just kind of vanished from the market in itself, and it did sort of start to add to the collapse of Phantom. There's a lot of other things happening, such as multi-chain, Bitcoin going down, just such an unfortunate event. But when it comes to our protocol, we actually decided when we do launch, that's one of the biggest issues, is that people want the PEG token to at least be pegged. And when it comes to Tomb Finance, it was always known as kind of like a degen protocol in that sense, where it's not always going to be pegged. It won't always be 1-to-1. It might be above 1. It might be below 1. But effectively, it should always still be relatively the same. Because if we even look at Tomb today, I think it's at like 3 decimals to the Phantom level. But one of the things that we did with Snake is our token is actually backed 1-to-1 by Sonic. And you can actually redeem it right now. So if you go on our website and you do buy Snake, you can redeem it at any point for 1-to-1. So one of the things we did, of course, is we took the Tomb Finance model, which is the dual token system model. And we're actually very passionate about that. We do think we should have a second token. We had a lot of suggestions as, hey, you should make this like an ERC 721. But I was actually under the idea of, I actually like the idea of things not being locked up and people actually having access to tokens and funds. So one of the things we did was we, of course, opened up the masonry where it actually prints Snake. So in this way, we actually have a system to where you can farm a token to where it actually effectively prints Sonic in itself. So when you over to the nest, of course, you can see there as directly showing you. Whenever you click harvest, you can get that Snake. You'd go over to redeem, and you could redeem it 1-to-1 for Sonic. And this actually reduces any sell pressure on the actual token, and actually doesn't remove any liquidity as well. And it actually keeps the nest from printing too. And it keeps the nest to continue printing. And one of the things we do as well is we actually kind of have like dynamic nest emissions. So I know people on Tome might remember like 5,000% APR, 6,000. Like that's what I meant by the Ponzi. Like that made absolutely no sense. So how the nest works for us is everything's based off of real revenue. And I'm going to go on about the convex part actually, because if people understand how convex works to Curve, it's essentially a yield optimizer to Curve without fragmenting liquidity. So if you go over on the forest page actually, and thanks Dracula for showing your page. We've removed some farms, of course, but Shadow, of course, had some insane bribe efficiencies. So we were just adding farms that would kind of benefit our farms, of course. Because to actually claim the token, you're going to pay a 35% fee in Sonic, which is another thing that actually adds us backing our token. So we added a bunch of farms that are actually also getting X Shadow rewards. And any LP that's deposited into here, we're actually already earning the XP3 rewards from it. So including XP3 as well as Sonic, our tokens actually backed over 100%. You can see it over on Dune dashboard. There's a lot of stats over there, even about stakers. The stats need to actually be updated, but the Dune dashboard is what's correct. But yeah, it's because we have funds such as like the FNFTs. We've sniped about like 100,000 FNFTs at like such a low price. We bought a bunch of Beats staked, like the stake token during the whole collapse. We kind of sniped it at the low price and we're redeeming it right now. So we kind of got some arbitrage there. And we're obviously still farming on Shadow. One of the things for us, and I kind of made this suggestion, is we're actually one of the largest protocols onto Sonic. So when it comes to us actually like earning additional yield, it is a lot like more difficult for us than just kind of other protocols too. Our contracts always supported, and I still support SwapX to this date, of course. But just with the liquidity kind of being a little thin on Sonic right now, it's a little tough for us to kind of either list farms or kind of fragment our liquidity in that sense to ensure that we're getting more Sonic into our protocol. So even right now, we actually have some upgrades coming to our nest, actually. So it's going to be in a way where people can actually just redeem instead of harvest. So instead of just clicking the harvest button, you can one-click redeem. I actually have a whole list here on an Excel file. Yeah, so we have, and then like a lot of things like for reward handling too. So instead of actually, so every 48 hours, if you don't claim, it actually burns the snake, which is another burning mechanism we had. But we think it's actually better if it goes back into our PSM funds, because in the moment where it does go to like 1.05 peg, then we kind of arbitrage that in that sense to make sure the funds are always backed by 100%.
Yeah,
And
that's a pretty good idea to put it back in the fund.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, because right now it's being burned, and honestly, it's been over like, I think if you see on the page there, it's like over 70,000 snake has been burned. And that was one of the problem with us at the beginning, is we didn't actually own any snake. Of course, we had the Genesis pools and everything, but the protocol us ourselves, we didn't earn anything other than whatever was printing from the nest. So in this sense, if we could own more snake and more G snake, we just have more ability to do anything. Vaults with silo, things of those sorts. That's something actually we wanted to do. And we still want to continue to do that, of course. And that is actually where most of our Sonic is held, in silo vaults. And we do monthly revenue reports, which I'm actually going to record after this for the month of October. And that's just to show everyone where the funds are actually going. Obviously, with everything kind of up in the air with crypto, there's a lack of like proof of reserves right now. So I think obviously for us, like we have to show people what's happening. And with Tomb being such a sensitive protocol, and exactly what follows what you said, the Tomb collapse, solidly breaking, and like all of that's, yeah, exactly. So everyone's aware. Yeah, everyone's aware of that. So that Tomb collapse, like it is PTSD to a lot of people, but I think it's once we open those redemption page, like it obviously gave people a lot of peace of mind, because it's easy for us to say, hey, our token is back, but you can't actually redeem it, right? But no, our goal was always just to hit 100% and allow people to redeem. And even if the worst case scenario did happen, we would always allow people to redeem for the backing. So it'll never hit zero. And the whole point for us is that if you're bullish on Sonic, you should be bullish on Snake.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and that's one thing I like admire about your guys' system is, if you look at it in the sense of like just earning yield on S, it's still some of the best yield out there. In terms of like, if you're just basically saying one S is one snake, but I love that the way your system works. It's like, we've had all these events and the system has never stopped working.
And that's effectively it. I mean, it comes down to the point where we're still finding ways we can improve it more. And I'm going to actually bluntly say this is like, I do wish the price action for our G-Snake token was a lot better than what it was. I'm not even counting the Sonic price action. I'm just talking in general. Because if I even compare it to a token like, I think T-Share right now, it's around the same price, but that token is effectively useless. So when you have a token such as ours is actually earning Sonic, I do think it's kind of underrated. And that's where we're kind of focusing on right now. So we fixed the bank run issue on the algo stables. Now it's time for us to actually bring more value to the G-Snake token.
Yeah, like I think that's kind of like, I guess what I'm really getting at as well is just, there were so many death spirals with algo stable tokens.
Oh yeah, man.
And you guys from the start, I thought it was smart that you were even from the start, you were very like, we have data everywhere. You can see what the backing is. You can, what we're like using to get the backing. So yeah, I mean, it's a great system. And yeah, like I said, I mean, it's like, it's retained its peg through basically everything.
Yeah, 9 months now. 9 months tomorrow, actually.
Yeah, and I mean the amount of stuff that's been thrown at it in 9 months. So yeah, I mean that's what I like about it is I like the idea of, if you're just trying to have as much exposure as you want and earn pretty good yield, I mean it's hard to beat.
Exactly. And even right now, I think you see on the redemption page, it does have to be topped up. And that's one thing too, is like we actually like people to kind of speculate on that sense. We'll always top it up with like 80,000 S, 40,000 S. It's actually been redeemed with about, I believe, over 800,000 Sonic right now, but it's just a matter of us pulling funds off of Silo onto here. But obviously, we love people to speculate. You know what I mean? Because sometimes if the redemption vaults are down, people will sell on chain. It gives users opportunity to just buy and redeem. I have to give a huge shout out to Shadow. I can't believe I didn't even mention them. Man, when we first launched Snake, they had like a 7x bribe efficiency, which is, it means like every dollar you put in, you get $7 out of it, right? So for us, and then Shadow was in such full support of us. Whitelisted on day one. They had a gauge listed for us. I mean, before Genesis was even over. And honestly, and I want to give a big shout out to even 24 Crypto Ham, because even in DMs, I mean, he actually was like kind of helping me out more. Like, I mean, like, you guys got something going here. You mean you keep it up and stuff like that. And I actually remember it was kind of like, I think on like this second day I made Snake to Twitter, I was like, man, I don't even know like about this. I mean, I was just thinking this to myself. And then I just randomly got that message from him. And I was like, you know what? He's kind of right about this. Like, we have all these factors put in. It can't fail. Let's just kind of like be on a positive mindset. and now look where we are today. That's why I kind of, you know what I mean, it's funny in how you look at things in hindsight. Because when people first asked us about Snake, I remember asking them, like, are you guys sure that you guys want us to do something like this? Because, you mean? So then that's when we had to go to the drawing board and everything. And then we're like, okay, this seems like it could work. Let's make sure it can go that way. Our goal actually, ironically, wasn't even 100%. But the scale of it just reached, okay, now we can actually make it 100% redeemable always at that point. We were aiming for like 75, 80.
Yeah. I mean, that's like, even that would be like, hey, that's, you know, for
Exactly.
if you're looking at algo stable stuff, that's like pretty good. Yeah. I mean, and it is like, it was kind of a fun time where you guys kind of like kicked off tomb season again. It was a little mini tomb season.
Yeah, and then some people tried to. This is the worst part was people tried to fork our protocol, and like we have a.
I've seen a couple forks. Yeah.
Yeah. So like we have a BUSL license on it. So like anyone who can fork Snake Finance is effectively just us. But the problem with Snake, and this is the truth, and I think you guys might have seen this. There's some guy from Paladin that was actually like, oh, by the way, the Genesis has like this code in it or whatever, and we actually know this. Like we knew this is a thing, and it's like, yeah, the way the Genesis works, and especially the way Shadow's gauges work, yeah, like effectively we can take all the funds out of the Genesis, but we don't have any intention to do that. So we instantly just put a time lock on there, right? And then the whole thing was that you have to understand a lot of this is behind trust. So I think there was like 3 or 4 protocols that forked us after this.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, they got direct support from some legitimate protocols, and then they went and stole funds.
Yep.
Which the worst part about it was they came and contacted us. We said no. Said protocols supported them, but then they kind of burned us in the end.
Yeah, I mean,
right, like not like officially, but it made people say like, so what's your opinion on this? And we're like, well, they approached us. I can show you the DMs. We said no, don't do it. We warned people. They still want to go ahead. We warn people in our Discord, and then I won't lie to you. I do give credit to a lot of our community who was like, thank you for warning us about like XYZ, because yeah, look what happened.
Yeah, I mean, there was at least 2 I can kind of remember that used that kind of like Genesis rug function or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And yeah, it was crazy because there were so many in like such a short amount of time, and a couple ended up not rugs, but they were, you know, not directly using the same system necessarily.
Effectively that, or their PSM. I can't remember. I think one just like their PSM wasn't real or something like that. I don't know. I can't remember. Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And like I like to say, like I coined the term PSM, because I've seen other protocols now using it, like peg stability. By the way, PSM stands for peg stability. I can't even pronounce
module,
it.
Right?
Yeah, module, exactly.
Yeah.
So
I remembered that one.
We almost said mechanism. We went back and forth between it, right? But yeah, and honestly, one of the things we want to do right now is we got to give more of a breakdown, because I think I told you earlier I was like, I could go on about this for 40 minutes. I think I've been talking for 30 minutes now about Snake. Right, so this is what I mean by like I could go on and on about it. But one thing for us, and I think I actually asked on Twitter, is like, what's one criticism I think people could kind of give to everyone? Not just I'm not talking about Sonic Labs, Sonic protocols, right? Whether it be us, whether it be other dexes, whether it be, just trying to think of some names. Metro is another dex, of course. Equalizer, great guys over there. Hoops and 543, amazing. Yeah, like what's more things do you think we could do ourselves to kind of help? Because I think people were saying that, like, people were kind of asking us, hey, could want to do some like marketing things with Jumper to bring more TVL on chain. I'm like, no, our funds will not do that. Like, even if we spend our treasure on it, it's not going to do anything, unfortunately. And I know what you guys are thinking. I want it to happen, but we can't do that.
Yeah, I'm thinking. I mean,
I wasn't even talking about you guys. I'm talking about, and it's a general question. Yeah, it's a general question, just like over things, just like what could we do as protocols ourselves, right? Jack, that's one thing. I think Goggles in itself is like kind of stapled itself, right? There's people who like Goggles more than like Sonic, right? So you're right there, like.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think that existing protocols, I kind of think about how your system needs yield, and I think existing protocols, I think we just need to continue pushing out products that work, that are, you know, that involve USDC and like an S, and, you know, we need more ways to generate yield, I think, to get, you know, if we're talking about free-flying tulip, there's not really like some like super exciting stuff happening right this second. It's like, I think we just need to continue working on like yield opportunities for, you know, all the projects to be able to take advantage of.
you hit the nail on the head, and that's one thing too. And I actually want to give a shout out to Andre too, because I remember he actually shouted us out on a podcast, and I know why. It's because we're building on top of Shadow. Like, we're not fragmented into liquidity. Liquidity is still there, and then people can either earn on Shadow and on Snake. And the way Andre works, and think of how he made Solidly, he likes to build on top of things, right? And that's the whole idea of crypto. You build on top of something, and like that's the ladders that you want to kind of create. And but with Flying Tulip, I don't want to sit here and like just depend on his product to do something, because in all honesty, to give like someone like that much, in my opinion, pressure for something to succeed, for the chain to succeed, I think it's just too much. Like, that's why I'm like taking a step back, as I'm even reading the docs right now. I have it open on another tab, but like, if it succeeds, perfect. I mean, we're gonna blow up and everything. But if something happens, it gets pushed back or whatever, let's just keep Sonic on like an upward trend, right? Let's not make like one that be the end all be all.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's lots of kind of like what you're saying in terms of like building on top of other things. I think there's even ways that, you could integrate yield from like a couple different projects and find a way to turn it into something new. So yeah, I mean, there's so many options at the moment, but I also understand that we were like in this moment of just like everyone just like being a little defeated. And I feel like that's, I know there's still a lot of negativity out there, but I know on like the builder side of things, I'm hearing a lot more chatter. It feels like there are people that are kind of like, all right, like, it's time to get back to work. It's time to, like what's like the new thing we're working on? Like, what are we going to do in 2026? So I think that's the best approach.
Isn't it like the classic cycle with all these things always, that like when the bull market is raging, no one is building anything. Everyone's just like obsessed with the money. And then when it's the bear market, that's when people start coming up with ideas and actually start.
Yeah, then you're like, all right, now how do I make money again, or more money?
Yeah, it's a classic, like, good times make weak men make hard times.
I mean, yeah, no, actually, I agree with that. Like, I see more like weak builders building during bullish times, and then the strong builders are building during bearish times. That's exactly what I see. Yeah,
because it's like easy.
Someone's gonna have to make that graph, make that chart.
Yeah, we got to do that, because I agree. I like what you guys are saying here. We got to really, and I've been talking to a lot of other small builders too, trying to just need activity. You know what I'm saying? Something to do, more things on the network. Never stop building. You know what I mean? It's like the most exciting part of this whole tech is that you could just build and launch something that can make money or do things with very little barrier.
That's the one thing too, is like there's a lot of ideas that I have too, and it's just a matter of like obviously just time, right? Like there's other builders that I know that I'm like kind of giving them ideas, like, hey, like if you make this on Sonic, I think you could kind of definitely pop off, get some recognition, build a legitimate protocol. It's just a matter of people taking that initiative right now. And I think people need to realize as well, like, man, we have built on so many chains. And I'm going to say this, actually, we've built on Base, we've built on Blast, we built on Mode, we built, like, I can name 10 other blockchains. There's a reason why, like, we are staying on Sonic and build on Sonic and like continue to have it. I mean, in our group chats, we still say Phantom. Like, it's just a normal thing. We just don't even say it. I don't know why, but yeah.
Yeah, well, awesome, dude. I love the sound of that, dude. Real quick, I have a comment that Caesar mentioned here, and I was unaware of this. And I kind of want to talk a little bit about the implications with you guys, especially, you're talking about AAVE being premier market. AAVE has been delisting collateral, so they do have some risk over markets like Saylor that are immutable. So I looked up what he was talking about, and this is what I found. As a result of 1010, they're proposing to remove Curve, Uni, and other volatile tokens from collateral.
Yep.
I don't necessarily know, like, okay, so if they remove the collateral, it's not going to just completely like brick those markets. I'm assuming they're going to give you time to like pay it off. Like,
I mean, effectively, yeah, but the reason for that is because in case the token goes to zero, and the reason why is like that's what I meant by like this stream finance situation that everyone knows about. That's why like these tokens might be indirectly effective. Like CRV USD, I think is effective, which is affecting CRV, which might be even affecting Lido or Uni, and ZK I don't know about. Like ZK is kind of in its own field. Balancer, of course, I think due to the hack itself, but yeah, these are the reasons. One of the reasons why like AAVE is kind of the go-to. These are blue chip tokens, but they're removing them just for the fact of like, safety. And they can add them, and they can add them back when things are obviously proven to be solvent. But with everything being, I mean, honestly, if I told you guys how much funds like were just moved around, hidden, railgunned, all this other weird stuff with it, it's insane, honestly. And that's what I mean by indirect exposure. It's more than what we think it is, and I think we're just going to find out within the coming weeks.
Yeah. And I said that last episode too. I said, I think that, all the bodies have not floated up yet. And I think that's another reason that there is still a lot of uncertainty in the market in general. I think we still have things to go belly up that we don't even we haven't seen yet.
Exactly, man. And then one thing I want to obviously and reiterate is like we always do come out of the other side stronger. Like even though like I know like there's always like doom and gloom and this and that. I actually had my friend text me today. I think I'm going to sell all my ETH and everything. You think it's going to drop? And I'm done telling people what my price predictions are in real life because I'm not going to be responsible for someone else, right? Because I told everyone to buy ETH at 2,700. No one bought like a few months ago, but I specifically like always known the long term of things because people are in such a short term mindset. Like it's not even a year now; it's a few months. People are like, "Oh, what's going on?" I mean, the whole thing is that like you invest into an asset, and then within 2 to 4 years, it's going to be worth more, right? I didn't think it was going to be 2 to 4 months. You expect the price to 10x. I mean, we've seen it happen, of course, but we can't control where a lot of this other money is coming from. And I mean, where things were moving on Solana, onto like Hyperliquid, Aster, these other things. Like this was a lot of large money that it was planned for this stuff to happen. It's planned for them to profit off of this. And I'm sure many people know this, but I see many people kind of going to BNB at the all-time high and all this stuff. And I'm just like, it's a classic crypto mistake, in my opinion, to do something like that. Not to obviously tell everyone what to do or what's going to happen, but it's just kind of in the sense of like, you want to leave an ecosystem when it's at the bottom, when you kind of, history has proven that it'll always reverse back up. And
yeah, I mean, I think our time frames are, kind of like just talking about leverage in general. I was talking about how there was this really good post I read where the guy was like, buy spot. He was like, are you crazy? He was like, in crypto, just buying spot compared to stocks or anything else, you're already like super leveraged. Like, so yeah, like you can't, it's like you said, it's like, 2 to 4 year horizon versus 2 to 4 month, it's just.
Exactly. And then and some people will know that and try to have an exit plan between those 2 to 4 months, and then it ends up exploding because, like we mentioned earlier, if you don't know the yield, you are the yield.
Yeah, for sure. And I was just going to share that, if you were one of those guys, like those memes where they're like, I told my family to buy Ethereum at $4,000.
Yeah.
That is a hilarious picture.
So don't answer those calls if you gave your family price predictions here in the last couple of months.
We're coming up on Thanksgiving. Watch your words very carefully.
Yeah.
Don't be talking about Zcash at the dinner table. I don't want to hear it, dude.
I know. Please. I'm a Monero supporter. Okay? Seeing Zcash hurts my soul, actually.
Dude, that is funny.
Monero is. I kind of want to do like a little privacy dive, dude, because from my understanding, Monero is the far superior product, but Zcash is like the more compliant product or something.
I don't know, man. Zcash had this thing where they were like the shielded transactions weren't real, and a lot of the funds were actually just going to the owner's pockets and stuff like that. And this was back in 2020. It's just so easy for people to forget things, right? But I always tell people like, oh, what is Monero? I've never heard of that. I'm like, it's exactly what you think Bitcoin is. I'm like, what do you think Bitcoin is? They go, and untraceable. I'm like, no, it's not untraceable. It's probably like the most traceable token ever. But at the same time, Monero is what you know what I mean. So I've actually always been it's been one of my first holdings and one of my biggest. I'm always like I'm always in the theory of like you should have like a big 3, including Bitcoin, ETH, and then diversify to other altcoins. Because I feel like that's why everyone gets so emotional over things, because they literally will full port everything. And I understand why. I fully get it too. Because what you said earlier, like just buying spot in crypto is better than just doing leverage, right? But at the same time, DCAing is one of the best things you can do as well. And I tell people that all the time. Should I buy? Should I do this? I'm like, what do I tell you every time? Put in the same amount per month, per 3 days, per 4 days, per week, whatever time frame is comfortable with you.
Yeah, that's what I do. I mean, I have 3 or 4 things that I have a DCA just automated, and it's like once a week it buys a little bit of 3 or 4 things, and you stack majors. I feel like this happens more with like the alt L1s, where people kind of like, they find their community or the projects they like and they kind of full port. But yeah, I mean, like I said, it's like spot itself is almost just like leverage already around here. Dish says Gum 13 buys all his gummies with Monero.
No, my Monero's just sat on my own wallet and I just mine it. That's it.
I do feel bad. I'm also a Monero fan, and there were projects that tried to build on top of Monero, and it would have been really cool, but it's so, I guess, just complex or whatever, like almost every project that tries to kind of build on top of it flops or like has a hack or, you know, whatever.
I remember there's one called Haven Protocol.
Yeah, exactly. Haven was what I was thinking of. That was really cool.
It got hacked 4 times.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, you know, I'm done with this. I cannot.
Yeah, it was really cool, man. It was stables and
I don't want to risk waxing too poetic about Monero here on our Sonic show, but I do want to point out the last time I tried to get some Monero, like build a little stack of it, it is like one of the more difficult tokens to get. It reminds me of like 2017 crypto or something.
Oh yeah,
like, I don't think you can buy it on a couple centralized exchanges. Like you need to use like their third party like swap service, and it's like really like it's a peer-to-peer system. It's kind of
like not fast and like
exactly. Yeah, it's not the fastest one either. Exactly. Yeah. And most of the exchanges, they delisted it. Any exchange that has a KYC does not have Monero. So that's in the sense of like, and if it doesn't have KYC, it's probably kind of a sketchy exchange, right? But there's ways you can buy it too. There's like stuff like Change Now obviously supports it, but yeah, I mean, when it comes to privacy coins in general, I do think that's obviously one of a great thing in crypto too. And also, people have to know this too, to get back on topic of Sonic. You can build an ERC20 token like that on Sonic. It won't completely like hide as much as Monero would, but it could give you like kind of effectively the same thing Zcash would. And I know there's one actually on a different chain that's doing kind of the same thing right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny you say that because I've been thinking about that on Sonic, and I've had some talks lately about privacy stuff. And you know, like for instance, there's at this point there's maybe 10 privacy projects on Solana, like pretty decent sized projects. So I mean, you know, there are still ways to, you know, have more privacy. Like you said, it might not be like, oh, it's Monero level, but also not necessarily like, hey, this is completely transparent and easy to find and look at, and you know.
Yeah, and some people don't like Monero level, so they'll think it's too much. A lot of people won't even look into it because you can't really find out anything, right? So it just makes a lot of things difficult as well. You don't even know how much what the supply is. So,
dude, that's got me thinking. What if there's an even more private token than Monero, dude? We don't even know about. You know what I'm saying, guys? Like, it's already so hard to learn about Monero. How deep does this rabbit hole go?
Yeah, Fallout Zone says with how accepted crypto is becoming, you know, with TradFi, privacy coins will be even bigger. Yeah, it kind of took longer than I thought, honestly. It's been probably since 2018 or 2019 that privacy token people have just been like, yeah, I mean, it's like once crypto gets to a certain level, privacy is going to be really important. And I feel like we're just now finally kind of getting there where there's like pretty good projects and like some interesting stuff. Like there's, you know, we could go on and on about it, like you said, Corval, but I guess we'll switch the subject from talking about other people's projects the whole show.
Well, no, I think we got something really good out of this. Gum 13 pointed out, you know, I'm interested to see someone build a privacy project on Sonic, dude. Let's see. This is what I'm talking about. We could be building stuff, dude. You start building stuff, man.
Exactly. And that's the thing I think people like need to understand too, is like, I think a lot of people were like, oh, stop talking about 400K transactions per second. I think people don't realize, no, that actually is bullish. The problem is like, we can't make dApps that fast. So if the network is already that fast, it's just a matter of us building something to be that much faster. I do think games should kind of take advantage of that when it comes to that sense, of course. I honestly, me personally, I do think it's going to take a matter of like 1-2 protocols to kind of kickstart everything. That's what I think, for builders to just kind of come back on chain and build again and everything like that. That's my personal opinion in the short term of things. But in the long term, I think everything's going to be fine.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I totally agree with that, you know, there's going to have to either be incentives or, you know, some new fun stuff to do. And then, you know, maybe you get new people in, then they start checking out the mainstays that have been here the whole time. Like I said, it's a whole flywheel kind of deal. So, but we're out of time here. We're already at an hour. We had a lot of other stuff to talk about. We'll get there. We'll get to that on Tuesday, because just really enjoyed having you on here just to chat with us, man.
All right, sorry about that. You said 15-20 minutes, and it's been an hour. Oh
no, it's not. We actually love when people can just hang out, because it doesn't happen very often. You know, we always extend the invite, but you know, people are usually like, nah, just, you know, play me off when my segment's over. And I totally get that too. Not everybody wants to just like, you know, talk on the stream for an hour, but would love to have you back, man, anytime, just to give your thoughts.
just shoot me a message whenever, if there's, you know what I mean, whatever the topic will be, and I can come on. And I'd love to be on here again. It's a pleasure talking with you guys.
Yeah. Violet says Gum 13 for third chair. Yeah.
That's a possibility. It's up to Dracula.
Yeah, man.
All right.
Good
Take
show,
care, guys.
though. Yeah, man. Take care.
Appreciate
Bye, everyone.
All right. I guess we should sign off too, right? We hit the hour.
We're at an hour. Like I said, we got more stuff, but I think Tuesday we'll dive into it. We got a lot of other stuff to talk about. So
yeah. One quick thing I do just want to pop off for people here, just, do a little Sonic shout out to Hank made this post for Metro. Is Metro Vault. The APR is distributed in Frax USD. Pretty nice here, 151% APR. Check it out. I don't know if that's legal for me to advertise that for you, but just give you an idea of what's happening here.
I mean, it ties into what we're talking about, though. We need more things like this. We need new yield. We need new tokens, new projects. We need stuff for people to talk about and stuff for people to do. So
yeah. Hey, look, we can't isolate, guys. We got to keep building and got to keep hooking into other protocols out there and other networks. So thanks again, everyone, for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this show. I know I did. Be sure to like, subscribe, retweet, all that stuff. Please give us a follow if you enjoyed. And stick around. We got more stuff coming. I'll tell you about it Tuesday.
All right. See you then. Have a good weekend.
GMSONIC is Corval and Dracula Presley. GM.